Hi Steve, hi Lynn.
Hi Steve, hi Lynn. How you doing?
Hope you guys are doing well. Greetings from Gates of the Arctic National Park. Things are going pretty well. We're a little more than halfway through our trip. No injuries. Today the weather's great. It's about 60 degrees, blue skies. The mosquitoes have been pretty fierce, but we're learning to live with them. We're about to break camp and head on down the river. We've spent a couple days here at this site and it's been really nice. Anything else?
No.
Oh, we heard some wolf pups yelping last night, and we think they're pretty close to camp. We saw some wolf tracks right outside the camp. So, unfortunately, we didn't see the wolves, but we know they're around. So, anyways, just wanted to give you a personal greeting and hope the video comes out well on this.
Okay, I guess I can launch too, so. I'll grab you. Not like that.
Somehow I managed to misplace my sunglasses.
I always know where mine are when I misplace them. Underneath the airplane.
Yeah.
Got a couple pairs of there. call her flying. You gotta love it. I'd be bored doing anything else. Alright, that'll work. See ya.
So long, Kevin. Thanks again. Well, here we are,
Yes.
out in the middle of nowhere with 500 pounds of gear.
That we have to carry.
The raft, there's the raft. We have to inflate that at some point. I don't know if you can see the mosquitoes, but there's a few buzzing around. Well, this is starting out something like Eco Challenge. We found out after scouting the area that we were probably about a mile away from the river where we got dropped off, and we have to portage all of our gear to the river. We've just completed the first half of the first portage. The river's in back of where we're standing, and we have about 3 more loads of heavy gear and the raft to try to portage this way. We're going to set up the tents and have a shelter on this end and take our time as much as we can to get things going. What time is it?
9:10, 9:12.
It's 9:12 p.m. and we're here inside our bug shelter. The mosquitoes here are ferocious. We've gotten attacked by mosquitoes, so what we did was we set up our tent inside this shade and mosquito structure. So we've got a little bug-free zone right here, which is great. Otherwise we'd be going crazy.
We spent about, how long did we spend?
Fixing dinner.
Spent about 5 hours
Yeah,
schlepping stuff from
we've
the
made 4 trips so far, and we still have at least one more to go to get the raft over here. I think in the background you can hear a plane taking off from the same area where they dropped us off. We're still killing mosquitoes on the inside of the mosquito netting.
It's not entirely mosquito-proof.
Yeah, it's incredible though. It's 9 o'clock. You can still see the sun is still up pretty good, and it may be up all night. Now we're inside the tent, our inner sanctum against the mosquitoes. Finally have some peace. The mosquitoes became the worst I've ever seen, I must say. They were really bad tonight. Well, it is now about 5 minutes till 12, and if I point the camera towards the door, you can see that the sun is still shining inside. This is truly the midnight sun here. Well, it's the second day, around dinner time. We're fixing dinner right now. As you can see, it's kind of cloudy and overcast. It's been like that all day. Had a little bit of rain, but not too bad. The mosquitoes are pretty fierce right now, so we're keeping under cover as much as we can. We got the raft set up, and it looks like tomorrow we're going to go ahead and float down a little ways.
And we're having day-glow orange spaghetti for dinner tonight. Isn't it appetizing?
I don't know if you can see any mosquitoes flying around in the camera, but there are a bunch of them out here. We both got our head nets on, DEET. Well, here we are down at the headwaters of the Noatak. It's actually a pretty good-sized river right here. We put the raft together, which wasn't quite as hard as we thought it was going to be. Pumped it up and moved all our gear down here, so now we're ready for the first portion of our river trip. Debbie?
What?
Hello. Anything to say before we push off?
That's just luck. I survived a day and a half.
Yeah, no injuries so far for either of us. The weather is a little better than yesterday, a little more promising. There's some blue sky up there. There's a nice wind from the south. This is looking back toward the south. And we'll be heading back in that direction there. We're going to try and stop at the next big creek to our right, which will be in that area, and then see if we can see if we can hike up that creek to the Continental Divide. So here we go. Well, we've come about probably 6 or 8 miles down the river, and we've pulled in here at this little inlet. And I think we're going to stay here overnight. We're looking at, one of our objectives for our trip was to try to go up this creek that leads to the Continental Divide. And you may be able to see in the background this valley, and that's up that way is where the Continental Divide is. It's probably about 8 or 10 miles by walking. And if you look in the foreground, you can see miles and miles of bushwhacking. So our objective looks doubtful, but we're going to do a little reconnaissance to see how bad the bushwhacking is, and if it's real bad, we're just going to bag it. So we're just kind of getting a little bit of stuff together here to do a short reconnaissance, and then put the rest of our gear protected from the rain in case it starts raining. But right now it looks like pretty good weather, a little breezy. Well, we're back from our reconnaissance. We went about, I don't know, 1.5 miles or so. And it was doable, at least as far as that point. We don't know what it's like further up. At any rate, we're back in our tent. We got the tent set up. It started raining. Debbie's in the vestibule making dinner. She's got her bug net on. Although the bugs aren't quite as bad here as they were where we were last night. Were they, Debbie? Do you think?
I wouldn't speak so soon.
And at any rate, I'm sitting here with a cup of coffee and just relaxing, and we'll help Debbie with dinner in just a minute. Well, it's morning of the 4th day. We're at our same campsite, and we did our exploratory hike up Portage Creek, and I think we decided we're going to bag it. It just looks too far to go, 10 miles at least one way in unknown terrain. The terrain we went through was kind of mixed bushwhacking, swampy area, and some creek bed. But it just looks like it's too chancy to try and do it in an overnight type hike. So we're getting packed up. Right now it's probably about 55 to 60 degrees, but the weather looks real changeable right now. It's been sunny, but if you look up at the sky, you can see it looks like we have some heavy weather possibly moving in. So we're packing up our gear. We're gonna get on the raft pretty soon and float down some more and see what else we can see. I'm taking this from the side of the mountain we climbed up. We're way above the Noatak River valley. You can see the river pretty far down there. It's a great view from up here. We actually climbed up here looking for some sheep. We saw some sheep from the river and climbed up here, and now we can't find them. But the view is worth it. Debbie is just over the side of the hill in the foreground. I came over a little bit farther just to see if I could see any sheep. And the raft is parked way down by the bend in the river. It's hidden by that outcropping of rock. And the elusive sheep are somewhere up there behind those hills, I think. The weather's holding out on us. It's the nicest weather we've had since we've been here. And Debbie's hiking over to this little rocky outcropping where I'm standing. A little windy out here. Yeah, we're standing on a little rocky outcropping here, and the view is just tremendous. Right down there at the bend in the river is where our boat is parked. At least I hope it's still there. A lot of bushwhacking to come up here. Willows and other bushes. Well, the tundra plants up here are pretty neat. This is a little low-growing flower. We aren't sure what kind. What'd you call it, Debbie?
Potentia?
Yeah, Potentia maybe. And there's all kinds of dwarf plants up here. A lot of dwarf blueberry bushes and bearberry. Try to get some more pictures of some of the other flowers as we come across them. There's a little pink flower. We aren't sure what it is, but it's pretty. It's another little plant. We aren't sure what it's called, but it looks like a little tuft of cotton. Maybe a type of cotton grass. There's another little tundra plant. We aren't sure what it is, like the other ones, but this one almost looks like a dwarf evergreen or something. Well, we've climbed down probably about halfway. Way below where we'd started out. And I don't know if off in the distance, if you can see this, there's a land feature called a pingo. And we think it's caused by permafrost, causing the soil to lift up like that. We're going to try to camp somewhere down by there and maybe hike up to it tomorrow. Well, overnight the weather turned from beautiful to stormy. It's windy, cold, and rainy out there today. I don't know if you can see it outside the door. But at any rate, we decided to stay in the tent today and just read and take it easy. Tent seems to be holding up okay. We're dry, comfortable, so just gonna take it easy for the rest of the day. Well, it's morning of, Saturday, Debbie? And we're getting packed up. We found a nice campsite here, right by the river, and also there's a creek running right in back of the tents there, where we can get fresh water. We're going to do a day hike, and we're headed for that mountain valley. In the background, there's a river that runs through it that's called the Kugrak, and we're going to just hike up that area. And there's supposed to be some warm springs up there. We're going to see if we can find them, and also some pingos. Well, we made it to the Kugrak. This looks like a typical Alaskan river. It's braided, but it's definitely too deep to cross. You can see right in front of us the current is real swift, and it's probably several feet deep at least. So we're just going to skirt up the left-hand side do some bushwhacking probably and just stay on that side of the river as we go up. It's kind of windy right here and cool. It's probably what, 50s would you say, Debbie?
Yeah. Keeps the mosquitoes down. Very nice.
Yeah, it does keep the mosquitoes down. That's one good thing. Well, we're wending our way up the river valley, and for those of you unfamiliar with hiking in Alaska, this is bushwhacking through willow thickets. And actually here is fairly open. We can even see a little ways in front of us, but in some places you can't see more than a few feet in front of you. And this is where you always have to worry about coming up on bears. And if I can show you in this photo, in this close-up here, there's a nice bear footprint. You can see the claw marks even. So we're making noise and trying to stay alert. Now we're back on the edge of the river and still walking upstream. There's groups of these flowers all over the place, and we think they may be dwarf fireweed. Well, like I said, we're about to break camp here. I wanted to show you something, how far the river has receded in the last 2 days. When we got here, we were actually able to float right up to where we pulled the raft up. And now the river has receded it's gone down so much that the shoreline now is about 40 or 50 yards away. So we're going to have to drag the raft over there, and then all our supplies, and then put them on the raft once we get over there. Well, this is a wolf print, and it's in the mud right at our campsite. It was there when we got here. I just want to show you for comparison how big it is. It's quite large compared to that footprint. And let me see if I can follow it on up. Well, it's morning again, and this is probably the nicest morning we've had so far. It's blue sky, the temperature is probably about 60, and we're just getting ready to break camp here in a few minutes. Debbie just is treating some water, and the mosquitoes aren't even that bad this morning compared to what they usually are. This has been a great campsite. Our large tent, we discovered a couple days ago, sprang a leak. So we've transferred sleeping into the smaller tent. And also the large tent, one of the poles broke on it, but we were able to repair it. And we're using that as kind of a day shelter to read and get away from the mosquitoes, and also to store gear in at night. I want to see if I can get a close-up of the creek that we're using. The river is to the left here. I think you can see that in the background. So I walked a little bit a ways away from our tent, and I'm standing right next to the creek. And I don't know if it shows up on the video, but it's just a real clear, nice looking source of water. It just flows right by our campsite here and then goes out into the river. Last night we... Hi Steve. This is a testimonial to the Schrade multi-tool. If it hadn't have been for this tool, who knows what would have happened. Our stove stopped working and I had to tear it down and replace a part, put it back together again. And if it wasn't for this Schrade multi-tool, I never would have been able to do it. So this thing came in really handy, and I just wanted to thank you for giving it to me as a gift. So we'll see you later. Well, we're continuing to float on down. The river's gotten bigger since the entrance of the Arctic River and some other tributaries. So it's quite wide down here. We just went through a maze of channels, just trying to keep to one that was deep enough. And you can see coming up, there's another choice of which way to go. We've been mostly keeping to the right because on the left there's a big marsh area. So I guess we'll go to the right again this time. We found some tracks right down here. Let's see if I can show them to you. And we aren't sure what they are. They're very curious looking tracks. And each of the tracks, I guess they're probably about 4 or 5 inches long, including the claws. And then there's some other tracks further over that I'll see if I can get a shot of now. These are a little bit easier to identify. We think these are moose prints. They're pretty large. Well, here we are. It's Tuesday, what's this, the 10th day of our trip? And we're floating down, just going with the flow. It's absolutely quiet out here except for the sounds of some ripples up ahead. And we're just surrounded by this beautiful wilderness. Oars hit the bottom a second ago. We had to ship them, get them out of the water for a second. The river is really good size now. Must be about, I don't know, 10 times the size it was when we started. Some tall peaks in the background. I think they're about 5,000 feet, which for this area is pretty good size. Well, we stopped on the shore here as we were going down because we saw something interesting. And if you look closely, you'll see that these are bear tracks. They look like pretty fresh ones too. Look like a pretty good sized bear too. And they appear to be grizzly tracks just based on the outline of the track. And they go right up to another interesting thing here. Caribou antlers. I wonder if I swing around this side, there's some other interesting tracks. I didn't notice these before. These look like either wolf or possibly lynx. I would say probably wolf. Did you see these, Debbie?
No. I don't know if I can come that far. I'll wait till you come back.
So the antlers seem to be a point of interest for everybody. Well, this is almost as good as a wildlife sighting, but since we haven't seen that much wildlife yet, we'll settle for this. And the tracks go off into the distance here. We also saw a ground squirrel swimming in the river just in this area, and it looked like he swam across the whole river. It's like some fresh snow up on the side of the mountain up there.
Again, here's Neil slaving away. We're just about to come to the out.
We're finally seeing some little tiny rapids.
So we thought we'd get some action shots of us going through these big, big rapids. Here they are.
Little rocks in the water. Well, we made it to our place where we found the portage trail to our last pickup. I should say where our plane will come in and pick us up. And just getting one last shot of the river. There's a creek coming in from the south. And we set up camp here. We actually got here about a day early, and it was good because we needed some time to get the boat out of the water and tear it down, deflate it. I think you may be able to see our campsite right there. So we pulled the boat out of the water here, and then the portage trail, which isn't really visible, goes along the base of this hill until you get to a lake, which I think is just barely visible. And we have to go over that little rise and then down to the lake, and the float plane will pick us up there. We've already got the boat transported over there, and now we're taking the rest of our stuff, and we should be picked up sometime this afternoon. Well, we made it to Lake Matarac with all our gear. Let me just show you what everything we carried down here. It took about 6 trips. There's the raft all folded up. That was the heaviest thing to move. And we were able to get in touch with Brooks Range Aviation. One of their planes was flying overhead, and we called them on the radio. And they're going to come and pick us up earlier than we had planned, since we're all set to go.